Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of Tournament Talk. My name is Jason Puckett with Pellucid Travel. I'm excited here to have Sean Flaherty, co-founder and CEO of Playeasy, to join us here for this edition. So welcome, Sean.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Got to know Sean a little bit at one of our industry conferences. We got lucky enough to be paired in a foursome together and had a good day of networking. And we didn't do so well, though. I don't think we placed that round, did we?
No, yeah, we got distracted, I think,
Yeah,
but
that's all right.
yeah, it's all about having fun.
So, for those of you that don't know myself, my name is Jason Puckett. As I mentioned, I'm Director of Business Development for Pellucid Travel. We're a full service housing agency that helps our event organizers not only with the monetizing the housing around their events, but also helps them with navigating relationships with destinations to really make sure they're having a positive impact on the communities and where they bring their event. Have a CVB background as well as a facility background. So I've been in the sports tourism industry for 15 plus years here. Turn it over to Sean. Sean, if you just give a quick bio of yourself, kind of how you got started in this career from college to now, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So I can go quick and kind of dig deeper into it. But yeah, so grew up Cincinnati, Ohio. Athlete growing up my whole life. Got the opportunity to play football. I was a long snapper at Boston College, where I met my co-founders. Was running camps, clinics, events, that kind of thing. Also got into the software world after school as a software sales representative at a software firm. So started to get the software experience behind my belt, along with the sports passion and experience as well. And basically, about 5 years ago, we saw an opportunity to help make a more connected sporting event and tourism ecosystem by helping provide an online platform that connects event organizers with destinations and facilities and vendors and local businesses and participants and everybody that really takes a part of a sporting event and making that more seamless online. So it's a
Okay.
little bit about Playeasy. I'm sure we'll dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, sure. So, as someone that hoped to play college athletics but was not talented enough, can you just share a little bit of your experience at Boston College? Both as a student, as a college athlete, what that was like.
Yeah, pretty crazy, and I can relate to not being talented enough. I got lucky with how this all worked out for me. I was an okay athlete, defensive end in high school, but never would have played Division I football as a defensive end. I had some weird niche skill with long snapping that I'd never realized in high school could become anything. But we had a football coach come in and join our team my junior year. So we had a new head coach at my junior year of high school, and he actually had played for the Cowboys. He was a big time football guy, and he saw me long snap and said, "You know what? You can go Division I for that." And I had no idea, and so he helped me kind of identify different camps and showcases to go to. And next thing you know, senior year, I got ranked like in the top 10 long snappers in the country coming out of high school, and pretty much my whole life changed from there. So when at that time it was 2008, and Boston College had Matt Ryan as the quarterback, and they were number 2 in the country. And it was also a school that I would never have been able to get into.
Sure.
And so, as a long snapper, basically you get offered a preferred walk-on position. So you don't get a scholarship until you earn the starting role. And typically, a school will bring somebody in as a preferred walk-on with when they have a long snapper that's like a junior or a senior. So you got to kind of be a walk-on for a year or two, and then
Yeah.
if you can earn that starting spot, you get the scholarship. So that was pretty much like all the kind of offers I had coming out of school, and for BC, that was the offer I had. So going to BC, it was kind of an interesting dynamic because it's a preferred walk-on position, meaning that I have to pay tuition. And,
Sure.
and I don't know if you're familiar with Boston College, but it's probably one of the most expensive schools in the country. And so I made a deal with my dad and my parents that I'll get 2 years. If I don't get the scholarship within 2 years, then I have to leave. And so that was the bet I made. So super stressful going into that,
A
but
lot of pressure. Yeah, for
it
sure.
ended up working out. So that's a
And
little
how
bit
cool
about
you
kind of
got
the
to
background.
play, on or be associated with the top ranked team and go through that whole process. Yeah, that's awesome. So what did you go to school for? What did you study?
Yeah. Uh, so one of the benefits of getting in on the football team is you can get into any of the schools within the college that you want to. And so the business school is ranked very high, very, very difficult to get into, but I kind of had a free pass to be able to get into the business school. So got into the business school. It's called the Carroll School of Management at BC. And I studied management and leadership. But what I found myself doing, a lot of the focus, at least especially initially, was just trying to get that starting spot on the football team. That was 90% of my
Yeah.
focus and energy. And our football coach had a funny saying where he would say, it's football second, school first, and he'd kind of put his fingers up like that. So when you're doing the football thing at a D1 school, it really is like a full-time job. So
Yep.
first few years didn't really honestly give the school as much attention as I probably should have, but then started to get into management and leadership, studying that. And then BC was just starting to get into an entrepreneurship program with new classes. And I found myself kind of just naturally flocking to that part of the school and the curriculum. So that's kind of where I started to get my passion for trying to start a company. So
Yeah. So, I know you went into sales on the software side, but kind of what you just said, did you feel like you always wanted to at some point start your own company and your own business and go and have that entrepreneurial mindset?
yeah, especially back then, because I was really naive, and that was a big part of why we started Playeasy. I can get into that in a little bit, but
Sure.
I was never a guy that would be able to ace the test and be the top student in the class if it was like, okay, an investment for management test or a
Sure.
operations management, whereas a lot of difficult and complex equations that you had to figure out. I knew I wasn't that person, but what I was I was always the kind of guy that I could talk to people. I would get along with people. I could give a presentation in the class. So while other people would ace the test when it came to group presentation time, I would be the guy that would present the work that we all would put together. So I knew from that point, sales was going to be where I was going to kind of go in after school. Because that was really more my natural skill set that I had. I also knew that software was where I wanted to kind of go into. At this time, it was like 2012. Uber was just coming out, Airbnb was just coming out, and I was really fascinated by just how these applications, these pieces of software could just change the way people like worked and lived and did things. And so really interested in the tech side, always kind of, one of the first people to get an iPhone, could figure out all the apps. Like I always wanted to do that, had that natural like interest in it, and then get into the sales side of the business, right after school to kind of learn how that all works. So
Yeah. No, and I think that's key, right? So, learning that you had that knack for sales, but then you also had an interest on the technology side. You kind of can use those early lessons you get early on in your career to kind of help shape where that takes you next. So you kind of, I know the story. We've talked about it before, but I think this is a good way to transition into like the origin story behind Playeasy. When did that light bulb go off, and when did you decide? And how did you decide, all right, this is something that we should be pursuing?
yeah. So I could teach a lot of lessons on what not to do. That's for sure. When starting a company, but this was senior year of college. One thing I didn't mention is when I went to school, played football at BC. I was a long snapper, obviously, and the punter was the same year as me. We both came in as freshmen. His name's Ryan Quigley, who Jason, I know you've met, and a lot
Mhm.
of people in the industry have met. He was he's a co-founder of our platform with us. I also met Carrie Shields, who played on the women's basketball team at BC there as well. He was also a co-founder of ours. But with Ryan, he was the punter, I was the snapper. And we had a couple really good kickers that were at BC too. So we would run these kicking, punting, and long snapping camps in the off season. And what helped us was Ryan actually went to the NFL for about 7 years. So he started to have a pretty good name, getting some publicity out there. So we would run camps and clinics up and down the East Coast for during the off seasons for a few years. And one of the things when we would try to do these, I moved on from school. I moved on from school, started my software sales position, started to understand kind of how software works and what was possible, what can be built. And as we're doing these camps and clinics, the hardest part was just getting the camp to like find a place to play, like a venue for it. We had to get a field with field goal posts, and we're brand new to the industry. And it just felt like, oh my God, like everything in our life is so easy to do. There's an app to do anything. You could go on Open Table to reserve a restaurant. You could click a button and get a stranger to come pick you up on Uber. You can rent somebody's place on Airbnb. But getting your sports venue to run a sporting event, to teach kids how to basically go get a scholarship as a specialist, like what we were doing was trying to give back and allow kids to be able to learn how to do these niche little skills that kind of helped us all change our lives, was just so difficult. And as we were, I didn't really live in the 1980s, but I was thinking, man, this must have been what life in the 1980s was like. This is tough. So that was the light bulb moment. That was kind of like how this all came to be. The light bulb moment was when we were giving a camp and we got double booked at the venue and had to end up running our kicking camp in a parking lot. And that was like, oh my God, right? There's got to be a better way.
Yep.
Let me go back and take a look at some things we can do. Maybe we could start something like Airbnb for sports facilities.
Yeah, it only validated, right, the need for something like that. Sometimes you have a great idea, but then once you dig into it, you realize either someone else has thought of it before, or maybe there's really not a need. But having to kick in a parking lot probably validated that idea even further. All right, so if you had to give a quick elevator pitch to someone that's maybe not even in the industry or is brand new to the industry, how would you explain, what Playeasy is?
Yeah, and this question should be extremely easy for companies to be able to answer, and it's one of the most important questions. For us, we serve so many different types of people that the elevator pitch kind of changes if you're an event organizer, or if you run a facility, or if you are a vendor or somebody that sells a product or service. But the general pitch is basically what Playeasy is an online platform for any kind of stakeholder in the sporting event and tourism industry to be able to find, communicate, and transact with each other through one centralized platform, through a network of profiles. If you think about what I mentioned earlier about every other thing in our life has some great user experience for people to be able to find and connect and communicate with each other. What we saw with sports is sports didn't have that, right? Sports operates off of hundreds of thousands of different stakeholders, all with their own individual websites, operating off of personal relationships, meeting each other at several different conferences over the course of a year, advertising in magazines, and everything is just every service that's been created, every platform that's been created in solution is to help solve one problem. You can see there's a lot of registration companies out there. There's hotel group booking companies out there. There's referee companies and companies that allow you to get sponsorships and jerseys, but it all just kind of does one thing, and there's thousands of different fragmented organizations that help serve the industry. So basically our pitch is we are like the Facebook or the LinkedIn for the sporting event industry, for everybody to be able to have one platform, just find each other, communicate, and be able to find the services, products, destinations, venues, events that they want to go to, et cetera, in an easy to use experience.
Yeah, no, I think it's valuable, right? I feel like the sports tourism industry has been lacking from the technology side for quite some time. And obviously, the housing side has caught up, the registration has caught up over time, but to have one place that can support facilities, event organizers, destinations, there's a need there. And so it's good to hear that Playeasy is trying to fill that. So I know we talked about the origin story a little bit, the light bulb moment. Has your mission changed from when you first started to now? Have you how has that evolved? And then that could even lead into, you guys just recently launched some new updates to the site, and new features that are going to be offered. So maybe talk a little bit about, how things have changed over time and the new things that are being offered and how, that's going to maybe change the game a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So our mission hasn't changed. Our mission from the beginning has always been to be able to make sports easier to happen. That's why we named it Playeasy. We started with facilities. We didn't name it Facility Easy or Facility Finder or something like that, right? So we intentionally named it Playeasy from the very beginning because we always knew this isn't just a facility platform. This is for just making sports more accessible and easier to have happen. So that's the first part. So that's always been the mission. The steps we've taken as we kind of looked at the industry to try to get to where we can be today is the first problem that we saw that really nobody else was addressing back in 2018 is facilities. So helping event organizers and sports planners be able to find facilities and be able to interact with those facilities easier, and be able to schedule those. That's where the destinations came in with sports tourism. So the cities allowing, working with the event planners to be able to find venues within their city, and be able to offer grant funding and that kind of thing, and be able to help offer different services to make that whole process easier, is a step that was kind of that first phase of helping event organizers find a place to play. And that's what we'll get into a little bit with our partnership here too.
Sure.
But from the tech side, that's kind of what we're first starting with. But then if you look at the event organizer journey that an event organizer goes through, first thing is you need your place to play. But then once you find it, now you have to market your event. You have to get people and participants to sign up and play at your event. That's how most event organizers make their money. So that's where this TeamSnap partnership comes into play. What we want to do is be able to offer event organizers solutions to make life easier for every part of their journey. So on Playeasy now, event organizers can market an event. Where TeamSnap comes in is they have the largest database by far and away in the country of club programs, teams, and participants, parents and players in the youth sports space. It's very hard to reach those types of people, right? The way Google and Facebook work is they try to figure out who you are as you're using different systems. But just because you might have filled out a March Madness bracket doesn't mean that you're going to be interested in registering for a 7th grade basketball tournament, right?
Yes.
So
right.
The other issue with this is most coaches and people that do sign up are volunteers. So they have real-time jobs. The data that LinkedIn has on people, the data that these other services have is, oh, this person works in sales for this insurance company, not that, oh, they're a coach of their 7th grade boys basketball team. So this is an incredibly difficult audience to target, and TeamSnap has them identified and just a silo of here are the exact targets that every sport basically needs to get to be able to advertise their event for these people to register for. So sure. When we're looking at TeamSnap, we're looking at that's the perfect audience for event organizers to reach. And so with our partnership with them, what this allows us to do is allow an event organizer to just market an event on Playeasy. That's listed. You can see it on a marketplace and filter. It's also indexed into Google so people can find it through a Google search. But then it can be boosted directly to that perfect target audience within TeamSnap. So if you're running a basketball tournament, you can hit every basketball coach in the country that is the right fit for your tournament.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a
in.
very targeted approach. And I think the way you laid it out there is that it is a really hard segment to reach. And also too, I was having a conversation this week recently at a conference with an event organizer, and, with there being so many different registration platforms, they were losing out on teams signing up for their event because teams were used to just going on one site, right, to book their events or look at what was out there, and we're missing the whole opportunity. And so I think this will give them the ability to target, hey, knowing you're in the New England region, we want all the basketball teams that participate on TeamSnap within that region. You can reach them in one click. That's pretty powerful. So that's very cool. You guys also kind of updated your user experience a little bit and how people go on the site and can navigate that as well.
That was a huge lift for us. The big thing that we've always realized that, and that we've seen when we studied the sports market, when we were just breaking into it, is all of the applications that were kind of similar to what we were trying to do, applications that were trying to help connect this ecosystem, all failed on the usability of the platform. And that's where, you could go to a website today, and almost instantly you can tell if this website is ready for prime time, like a LinkedIn or an open table, or if it's something that looks like didn't get enough investment, or it was put together by people that might not really know exactly what they're doing when it comes to technology.
Sure.
And a lot of sports websites were just good idea, a lot of good effort from people that really know the industry, but just failed on the actual usability and the tech. And that is what makes a product scalable, is that anybody, as soon as they see it and they use it, they're in and you're captured, right? The issue with a lot of the other companies that have been out there when we were going in is mainly muscle runs out of energy. So when you're going out and you're trying to manually get everybody to use it, and this is what we found ourselves being in this trap of, like, you know what, we're starting to maybe become that not as scalable platform as we wanted. A lot of bugs, a lot of support questions. And so we basically took a look at what our platform is today. And I understood a lesson from previously in my first job when I was a salesperson at Intralinks. Intralinks was a 20-year-old company, and they had a 20-year-old platform. And we were selling against a company called Box, who was a newer company and had a newer platform. And they were able to develop features 5 times faster than we were, just because our old platform wasn't scalable to be able to build on. And I remember everybody thinking, man, we should have rebuilt it like 10 years ago. So we came to this crossroads right around like March of this last year of, we're gonna, we could continue adding features on our system, but it's gonna end up breaking and not being able to move forward anymore. So we came to that decision of, you know what, let's not make this mistake like we've seen in the past and a lot of companies do, just for some short-term features. Let's rebuild the whole thing and get it so there's no more bugs. It's exactly how we want it, with the most modern technology. So when people hit this site, they know exactly what it is. It's ready for prime time, and they can start using it, and it can start to kind of take off from there. So that's a long answer to your question, but
No,
it's a
I think it's
design,
good
but
to
also
highlight that you're taking feedback, right, and looking at it from a holistic approach to make sure that it's going to be something that can sustain itself for the long term and be at a level that people are expecting, right? People expect, the mobile capability, right? You have your own app that the functionality is just as easy as if you're on a desktop. It might even be easier on the app versus the desktop in some way, shape, or form. So no, that's great that you highlighted that. So yeah, you teased it a little bit, but we are excited from a Pellucid Travel standpoint to be working with you on this unique partnership, so we can kind of tease it out a little bit to those watching. And I'll take a stab on this. So Sean and I, had a great discussion while golfing in that golf tournament I mentioned about the support that these event organizers need in finding the right destinations for their events and the process that takes. And so we're working on a site selection concierge service, for lack of a better term, where we will use our expertise and our staff from the destination side, the facility side, and the hotel side to assist the organizers in creating a robust RFP that really packages themselves up properly, helps provide the information that the destinations need, and then utilize the Playeasy platform to get that out to the masses, right? But you can add on to this. There was a gap that was observed where the event organizers didn't really know what to do once they got the responses back, right? What was that next step they were going to do? And it was time consuming. And so potentially they weren't getting back to the destinations in a quick enough manner, which would cause frustration on their side. So our role is to come in and evaluate those responses, and help aggregate those so that we can present them with the best options for themselves. And that not only includes a great venue, but what is the destination like? What support are they willing to give from a funding perspective, from a value in kind support, volunteers, event services. And so that's kind of where we came in. And then at the end of the day, these events can be very valuable destination. It's just really pairing those two together and helping ease that burden off the event organizer. Anything you wanted to add to that? I took the show a little bit, but kind of what was your thought process when we were having these conversations and trying to put this together?
Yeah. So as I kind of described earlier, right, we invested a lot into building technology that can help event organizers get in contact with facilities and destinations and make that whole site selection process an easier one. But as we quickly learned, as people started using it, there needs to be more than just technology that allows people to be able to truly complete this process, at least today at this point. There's so many intricacies that happen, and every event is different. Every destination is different with the venues that they have, and there's different processes. And just simply being able to connect an RFP and an event organizer with a destination saying, hey, these guys want to run an event, and it looks like you guys have space to host it. Start talking was not quite enough for many people to be able to get a deal done or really realize the value. So where we were looking at is we need help from experts that know exactly how this industry works to be able to allow consulting or just white glove service where these experts can help take it over for yourself. So this whole site selection process for an event organizer can just be off of your plate. You don't have to worry about it. We have technology that can help connect you to a really wide and broad audience of destinations and facilities. And we have industry experts that can help make sure that we're doing all the best practices to get you your exact location and any incentives and things like that come from it. So
yeah,
that people side is absolutely massive for us as we think about pairing technology with expertise. The other part of it too, where I think our partnership is really important, is we have hundreds of event organizers that use our platform, but out of those 500 or so event organizers, maybe only about 100 150 actually submit RFPs and know what an RFP is and know what a destination is.
yeah.
The other 400 or so don't even realize that they're in the sports tourism industry, right? They don't even know. They've never talked to a destination before. They've never gone through that process. And what we're doing is we're getting them in with, hey, we can help you market your events to your target audience to Playeasy. But then once they're in, now we're trying to educate them on here's how sports tourism works, and here's what a destination is, and here's why you should go through a destination, and here's the benefit to you as an event organizer. And so we have a lot of fresh people who don't know what they're doing coming in. So our partnership with Pellucid and you, Jason, being able to help educate everybody on exactly how this can work is extremely important.
Yeah, it's bridging that gap between the value that these event organizers have and then pairing them right with the right destinations. And at the end of the day, the goal is for this program to be an extension of that event organizer staff and help take that burden of them finding new locations for their events, make the process easier for destinations to be connected, and then provide them with additional services around that. We're a housing company, but this program is not meditated in regards to housing. It is really helping these event organizers utilize your system, connecting with the destinations. And I think it's so valuable because while we go to these trade shows, we end up seeing a lot of these event organizers over and over, right? Those folks maybe don't need as much as assistance as, new organizers breaking into the industry. And there's so many out there that I think will have value to this. But anyway, I wanted to kind of wrap this up, a little bit in, what at the end of the day, 5 to 10 years from now, what's your goal with Playeasy? What is the thing you're striving for the most? Where do you see this going?
Yeah, great question. I think the the thing that we're striving for is to really be able to connect the entire industry at one seamless experience. Right now, we're at destinations, facilities, and now we're bringing in clubs, teams, and participants. As we go into the future, we're looking at bringing on vendors and people that have products and services that can be provided for events as events are taking place in different areas, as well as getting into local businesses and restaurants that are interested in also sponsoring or working or giving a deal to event organizers. That's something that we're actively working on right now with a few different beta customers, but basically restaurants and event establishments that will benefit from events coming into town to be able to bring more foot traffic into their business want to get alerted anytime there's a new event taking place within a certain mile radius of their location.
Sure.
And being able to make that just more seamless and being able to connect really everybody that's impacted across the country by these sporting events and just having one central platform to just streamline the communication is really kind of where we're looking at going. So yeah, adding on all those different layers and stakeholders to really connect.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think
industry
it'll add value and save people time, right? So that they can do what they do best, and it's either running events or promoting a destination. Yeah, so future's bright with Playeasy, and we're excited to be a small part of that. And so I thank everyone for joining us. I hope you got to learn a little bit more about Sean, more about the platform, and looking forward to seeing you at a show again soon. And I thank everyone for their time today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Of course.
Talk soon.